It's not about just pure performance, as it is in other categories, to be able to win. And that's why fans have a special passion for that sport, because they see that there's so many factors. The only escape I could see as a good life, it was to become a racing driver. Because if you don't work with each other, you're not going to be there.
And when you leave with no regrets a race weekend, it means that you've done a good one.
It empties you completely. I mean, it takes everything.
I mean, there is no reward without risk anyway.
The target in this championship for everyone is exactly the same. And it's winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Hi.
The nose in between.
How do you get into a sport like that? Because, you know, when I was younger, if I came to my parents and say, hey, I want to do motorsport, I think my mother would have fainted in 2 seconds. So do you need to have a family in it to start it?
Well, I think it's probably different for every drivers that I know. As for me, it was pretty straightforward. I was literally born on a karting track. My parents on a karting track near Paris in Pontoise. And I mean, yeah, my first baby seat was actually a karting seat. My mom didn't have time to buy the baby seat. It was pretty easy
for you
to get into the business.
Okay. And what about you, Nico?
Pretty different, actually. I had no connection at all within family to motorsports. Much later than Jean-Eric, for example. I was about 11, 12 years old when it all started, and it was purely a hobby that developed into much more later on.
And your parents were not stressed about that?
Not really. Luckily, they had no idea what they were getting myself and themselves into. And I never did go-karts. I participated in a race, and I beat some of the professional karting drivers. And so my dad said we should start karting. And it was a hard adventure in the beginning because we didn't really have the budget and everything, but then got quickly into it. Did 2 seasons of go-kart, and then I was already in Formula cars.
Okay.
It's family driven. So my father was doing go-karts when he was very young. I think he picked up the passion himself just by stumbling across it. And then when I was very young, he was doing Formula Ford, which was a very entry level from go-karts to race cars that drivers all were successful in. It got to the very top of Formula One and Le Mans and all these things. So I was around the racetracks with him racing. So it wasn't really a question did I want to do it, was when could I start?
I would say for me it was a little bit unexpected, let's say, how I got into motorsport, because my family was not at all involved in racing in any way. So my dad, he's an architect, and he actually designed a go-kart track near where I was growing up in Belgium. I was about 5, 6 years old at that time, so I was kind of just going with him to his work, and he was friends with the owner of the karting track, and that's how I kind of got my first laps in a kart. Obviously, in the beginning, I didn't really know whether I was gonna pursue that or anything like that. I was just doing it because I liked it and I was having fun. So I think started pretty young, a little bit unexpected. Tried a lot of different sports actually as well. But I kind of knew that I didn't have the same passion that I had, or the same passion that I had for the racing.
I have to say that I think my father was even more passionate than I was.
Okay.
And by seeing me in the go-kart, then he offered me a go-kart, and I starting to do that, some days or weekends, and I started to love it, and I loved, that racing, that speed feeling, being solo on the ground, and fighting with the others, that competition, and that's how we started, and here we are now.
Let's talk about the financial investment. What I've learned about motorsport is that it's very expensive. We are talking about hundreds of thousands, even millions to build a whole career. Why? First of all, why is it so expensive?
There's many reasons, but basically running these cars already involves a lot of effort from the teams that run it. There's, I would say, in junior categories you have up to 3 to 4 people needed to just run that car on a high level to be able to compete at the front. We are paying the teams as a young driver to get the seat in the team and to race for them. I said there is some compromises. Some teams, they have partners, they have possibilities to partly fund one or the other car within their team, but normally they try to have the drivers bring the budgets to allow them to race. And the faster the cars get, the higher you climb the ladder, the more expensive it is for the teams to run those cars. And that's why the budgets, from season to season tend to increase.
I mean, right at the beginning, I started like the guys, and then I started to have a lot of support from the French Federation, which was, I have to say, as a French driver, I mean, they've been really helpful for a lot of us. You have French Formula One driver already. Today in F1 because of the French Federation, so they've been really supportive. But it's been tough. I mean, even though it was not as expensive as now, it was a lot of money, and my father was sometimes struggling. And I remember that my last year in go-karts, where to go and to be able to do the World Championship, I remember that he was selling the bicycles that we had in the garage to be able to pay the set of new tires.
It's your family pick you up and they see every kid is special to your own parent, but when they see some spark in there, I guess you have to drive that passion through it, and they're the ones that make the journey happen. And I think they've got to take the benefit of it now. But I can honestly say now, if I'd started out with the family back and that we had and where we were, I wouldn't be sitting here now as a professional driver, because I would not have had the budget and the support to even get there, even with the contacts.
And with this investment, with time and money from your family, investors, sponsors, I think it must bring a lot of pressure when you are young. Was it too much sometimes for you when you understood what was going on with your career?
There's obviously a lot of pressure in many aspects. For one thing is financial, but I think the most thing for me is the time we invest in this. You put education on the side, you put everything aside. So if you don't become a racing driver, you are, even from the first years of school, you're behind. I started later with racing, but you guys, you missed school from the first day. So if you wouldn't be a racing driver, you would have to redo all the educational part. You'll be 10 years behind.
And you read all those books?
Yeah, there's a lot to read. So it's more all the sacrifices you do and invest in only the sport. So if it doesn't happen, it's a huge risk that you take.
Even early in my career when I was in Formula 3, Sebastian Vettel was my teammate, and he was trying to study when we're trying to win the Formula 3. He was trying to battle me for the Formula 3 championship, and he's trying to study between sessions for his university degree. And I'm thinking, where does that come from? How are you able to do that? But it was family pressure.
Okay.
It was on the other side of things. So I think every family is different in how they went about doing it. And I guess when you get to the top, you can share that. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just how you are as an individual.
The only escape I could see as a good life, it was to become a racing driver.
To succeed.
Yeah, at one point. So, you try to be as smart as possible. And you grow up also in an environment, it's not school, but still you learn a lot of stuff. But at one point, it's kind of a tunnel, and you see at the end, and that light, and that's what you have to achieve.
But there is no reward without risk anyway. And when you learn to take risk at a very young age, it teaches you to deal with pressure better than anyone else. And because pressure is something that we deal our life. It changes, but the pressure stays the same for different reasons. But when you're young, you have the pressure that if you don't win the championship, you're not gonna have the funding, and then your career stops there. But then when you are becoming professional, you also have the pressure that if you don't perform, it's gonna be another one taking your place, and then you have nothing else. And then you have the pressure also from a manufacturer. Team is not gonna take you just because you're kind to them or because they like you. They keep you and they pay you because you can bring them results. So you always have this this pressure to constantly perform, but since we deal with it since we are very young, it's kind of normality.
Okay. At some point, did you regret not having the same life as your friends, like the same freedom of movement and action?
So you sacrifice a lot of things, and it's the dream to become a professional racing driver. So once we have achieved that, I think it was all the sacrifice worth. But if we wouldn't have made it, obviously you would look back and you missed a lot of things. But I think it's still, all the journey we've been on, even if we wouldn't be here today, it's an education itself. You learn to stand by yourself, you travel a lot alone, you deal with all the people, teams, partners. So I think you learn a lot from the whole journey as well.
For me, I honestly think it was one of my best experiences in life, just because at a very young age you have to be a grown-up basically. You're spending time with grown-up people, the people in the racing team, and they're kind of teaching you life a little bit, let's say, as well. It's not only about the racing, it's about how you behave around the other people as well. So for me, it was a great experience.
The good thing is that the outcome for us three and the six of us, it's positive, because at the end we've been able to race, to do our passion, to earn money with our passion. So the outcome is positive. But it could have been the other way around, and then the life it's completely different. So, but yeah, then on the other side, when you're on your own at the end, and it's a great experience. Yeah, you have to deal with, when I moved when I was 16 to Italy, I didn't speak Italian, so I learned Italian, speaking with the guys to organize, the travel, to take the train and plane and stuff like that. So I think it's, in terms of life experience, there is nothing better than that.
When you have a goal and when you want to succeed in something, the things that you have to do, I don't call them sacrifices. It's not even an option. So yeah, I'm very happy where I am today. So therefore, I have no regrets at all. And yeah, for sure, I didn't have the same childhood as all the other kids, but I think I had a much better one. And where I am today, I think it's more the other one that regrets not to have done what I've done.
It was a life-building experience. It was fantastic. There was no mobile phones, Google Maps. No, but I'm being dead serious. You got to travel, and you had, probably Stoffel missed that. You had to be, your family would stick you on a plane, 17, go to Germany. There's a map.
They had to do that.
There's a map. Then that's how you got about when you first did it. And I think you see the other side of it. And I think the most important thing, which I think it lacks nowadays, communication. You had to communicate with people. You had to talk to people.
Yeah, it's not your language.
People weren't just like buried in a mobile phone.
That's true.
When I take myself as an example, I think at the time you sometimes think, it would be nice Friday night, Saturday night, go out and enjoy life with your 16, 17-year-old friends. But I think what we got out of that different journey is, worth at least as much, if not much more. And yeah. Sometimes I remember friends asking, why you want to go to that stupid racetrack again, and come out with us and have some fun. And I would say 100% no regrets on it. And even at the time, you're so driven, you want to make your dream reality, and there has not been any point of should I actually continue doing what I do, and no questions asked.
Okay. What do you feel? What is the sensation, the feeling that you have when you are in a car?
In the beginning, it's definitely kind of the driving part, and driving as fast as possible, basically, and really like looking for finesse in your driving, like to master a braking, master a corner. That's really what kind of gives you that spark, I think, in the beginning of your, the very bottom of your career. And then you start competing with others, and that brings a whole new dynamic, because then it's about being kind of the best of everyone. And I think that's what is or has been driving me over the past years, is to try and do that little bit better than your opponents, basically, and to come out on top.
What about you?
Yeah, mix of both. I agree with Stoff about the racing, that the speed also. But I'm more a racer, so I like side by side with other car. Wanted to catch the guy in front of you and to go away from the guy behind. Trying to be the best also and beat the others. I can feel also that in anything that I do, also when I play with my kids, I will never give them a win. He has to pick up the win, he has to beat me in anything where, if we play football or whatever.
But
he has to beat me, if he's not good enough.
even he's 4 years old?
Even he's 4 years old, I will never give him a win. No way. I love winning, and he has to beat me. That's why I still play a lot with them, but soon I will stop because they're gonna be too strong. But
And they're gonna beat you.
Yeah, exactly.
It become, I don't know for you guys, but it becomes some sort of an automatism for us. I don't feel the speed anymore. I don't feel, maybe the first time I drove in F1, I felt, like, wow, the speed is incredible. But honestly, seriously, after 2 laps, the speed impression was gone. What I love is just the racing and the competition. That really, what gives me the fire. The time, the day at the end of my career when I stopped the racing, I don't think I'm gonna drive anymore on tracks, just because, the fire I have inside of me is pure racing.
Personally, I also enjoy trying to optimize the car around you, or you're driving around the car and understanding how you can get the extra few tenths out of it. And
For what purpose?
to go quicker and to beat the others. That's what
Exactly.
we're doing it for.
Competition.
But I still enjoy that a little bit.
Yeah, me too. And anything that can give me an extra tenth and that can make me do the pole position, I will love it as well.
Exactly, but that's part of testing. That's what I mean. That's why we do it. That's why I'm motivated to go and do it too, at least for a few days. I'm not the one that wants to drive in circles for a week, but as long as you feel like what you're trying to do and the understanding you're building for the car, or the new setups that you're trying, they give you something extra, then I find it exciting, and I'm motivated to do it. But the peak is clearly the racing, and that's what drives.
But I think what makes racing so different to other sports is that you're always in your zone. When we drive for 2 or 3 hours, it's 2 or 3 hours without any mistakes. That can kill a 24-hour race. Whereas in so many other sports, you have so many breaks. In football, you have an attack, and then you can relax, find your position. We cannot do that. We have the straight line speed, but even there's risk if we are not concentrated. So it's like you get in a zone for so long where no other thoughts are crossing your mind. So you're just in your zone for 2 or 3 hours without any disturbance. You know how important the job is that you do it right. So you don't even think about anything else.
Okay. You said that you never feel fear during a race, right?
I don't know if it's because of, then it's fear for not performing. There's never fear of crashing, because it all happens so quick. And I also think that if you fear to crash, you will never be a racing driver. These guys are already left behind doing karting or doing Formula 4, and they find something else to do. If you get to that point, you cannot have fear of driving or of crashing, because the sport can be quite dangerous, and you can get hurt when you crash with more than 300 kph.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than to walk, especially if it's like your own mistake, which happens, unfortunately.
It's gonna happen.
It happens at some point. Like, everyone has it, even the best in the world. And it's just the worst feeling to walk back to the garage and having to say sorry to everyone, basically, because they know they're gonna have a long night ahead to repair the car.
If you compare, with Formula 1, of course you have a team behind you, but if you crash, like the driver championship, it's you. You crash, it's your mistake, it's on your shoulder. Okay, there is the whole team, so it's bad for the whole team. But for us, as the guy said, when you crash, the driver championship is the 3 of us.
Yeah.
So when you come back, that feeling that, okay, it's on me. I was driving the car, and because of me, we, the 3 of us, not gonna score any points. That's something really that feeling hurts a lot.
That's the only bit I would say that you have any doubt. At any point, you can't have any other thought. When you're in the car, you're zoned into where you are, because there's too much at stake for your mind to be elsewhere.
Okay. How do you succeed to find your stability, all of you, and find also a mix between your professional and personal life when you have, a wife, kids, relationships?
When is the wife and kids coming and stuff?
That's easy, deeper problem.
I don't have any problems. I'm doing fine.
But you have an anecdote that you don't want to share with us.
No, I don't have. But
He's not scared to share the experience.
No, I mean my one of my previous girlfriends, her family was involved in motorsport, so we kind of got to know each other through motorsport. I mean that didn't continue, but yeah. Besides that, it's it's easy to meet people, easy to meet to meet people these days. There's lots of tools for that. But yeah, then again, it's the problem. At some point, you start realizing, are they there for the experience, or do they really care about you? So I guess in their case, it's easier because they guys.
But they don't care anymore. No,
Yeah, okay.
because the experience is okay.
But yeah, it's they met before they even made it in their racing career, and it turned out great. So that's all good. But I think if you haven't met someone kind of earlier on, then it becomes a little bit tricky sometimes.
Okay.
Well, I think compared to a very normal job, or what people might consider as normal, when you maybe leave at 6:30 in the morning and you come back at 5:30, and you kind of have a bit of each other every day, I think we have a different lifestyle. We actually just talked about it this morning. It's quite funny that or we are home 100%. Yes, you have your little bits and pieces to do, but still you're at home, or you're fully gone. And it's a different lifestyle. But if I could choose, even just considering the private life, I think the way we have it, once you get used to it, and especially your wife and your family gets used to it, there's a lot of privileges to it as well. If you're there 100%, you can actually plan half a day trip or a full day trip when you're there, and really be there with each other, instead of just enjoying a couple hours before the kid goes to sleep. And you have to get used to it and organize yourself around the job. But I enjoy the days at home, I believe, at least more than I would if it was only these little pieces.
Yeah, for sure. I can speak on behalf of Nico as well, but we are very fortunate to have a partner that understand what we do and that support what we do. I think is the most important, because without their understanding and their support, it would be very difficult, because it's difficult for them as well. I mean, not to see us sometimes for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and when the kid is asking about you all the time, and he wants to see us, but he can't. It's not easy, and having their full support is the most important, really, because they know that we need to focus on all the little problems of normal life. I mean, we don't hear about them. They handle it, and it's great. So,
if we come back on the flights, if there is something that could stop me from racing, it's traveling too much. Okay. And now I don't do as much as I used to do before, because I just don't want to do it anymore. Because when you don't have a family, I mean, okay, you have your suitcase, you go here and there, it's cool. You see people all around the world, you experience different culture and stuff like that. But at one point, for me, it was
too much.
It was too much. It was important, to get the stability back, and I feel that, I don't know when it is. Some guys, it's going to be, for some people it's going to be at 30 years old, for others it's going to be at 55, whatever. So this, you don't know. I think it depends to anyone. But I'm sure at one point there is something that, okay, being away 280 or 300 days a year, it's too much. So I think it comes at one point.
Okay. For you too? Or do you enjoy more traveling?
I definitely don't love to travel so much. You would like more time at home, but you get used to it. But there's also nice parts of it, like the time in Paris. We have some nice dinners together. You enjoy the cities. You get around all over the world. Sometimes we combine a race with a bit of holiday in a good destination. So there's benefits. But if you could remove the traveling part and just have a teleport putting you at the race and putting you back home, I think that would be the dream.
Is there any medical or psychological limits to become professional?
Yeah, I think there is medical checks to get your license to be approved to go and race from your national federation. I do it. And color blindness is parts of it. Corrected vision is, I think, not a problem, but it has to be, done
I think
properly.
if you make, if you're 2 meters high, that might be complicated for motorsport. The cars are not made for very tall people, so I think that's one condition already.
But they don't check like the psychology. It means if you have unstable or something like that.
Believe me, there will be many drivers that wouldn't be competing if they were checking that.
The interview would be a bit less exciting. You would be by yourself.
Okay.
I may not be able to race, but neither do you.
And do you work on the mental aspect of your work?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
The mental side is, I wouldn't say more important than any other thing, but is as important. And we have moments in motorsport that are very tough to react to, and the most difficult thing being whenever you have a phase of not having any success, failure to failure to failure, and losing your confidence, I think is the most critical moment and the most difficult to get back into it and get back in your happy window of operational side. And it's very easy to go from a crash, go back in the car, drive out again. That's no problem. But when you go from failure and when you start losing your confidence to gaining back, it's not like I see some drivers sometimes struggling during a whole season and the second season, and they start to doubt themselves and think that I'm not good anymore. But that cannot happen. I mean, it's not like a driver that won championship or races. It cannot be bad again the year after. Mm-hmm. There are things that makes him bad, and those things are mainly and only on the mental side. So yeah, I feel that it's very important to work on those things.
Mental state, the way you feel about your own performance and rating what you have delivered on track is sometimes not so easy, especially if it keeps on happening. If you have one bad weekend, okay, it's quite easy to digest. But if there's several in a row, to not, get into that downward spiral is not so easy. So I think that's one of the challenges that in motorsport is maybe a bit bigger than in another sport where you as an athlete can be more in control of your own result.
You may think that it's not a nice thing to be arrogant, but it's in general a very good protection to yourself. And sure, you need to be good to be arrogant. I mean, the drivers or the athletes that are arrogant and that don't have any results, I mean, those guys, you don't even talk to them. That's not a nice, those are not nice people. But the successful athletes that are arrogant, in general, they are the ones that get back into it very quickly after a failure. Okay. Just because they are so certain of themselves, they are so sure they are the best, that whenever something bad happened to them, it's not their fault. It's something else, and they go back into it. And they have the notion also of understanding when they do something bad, they're able to really react also on themselves and be able to be able to judge yourself and say, okay, no, this was bad, I have to change that. But still on the face of everybody else, I'm still the best, and I'm still gonna do it. So sometimes it may look very arrogant, but it's
self-protection.
Yes, kind of, yeah.
How is it to work with French people? How are we in the professional sphere area?
There is a lot of, and I think particularly motorsport, you don't probably see the true reflection in the way the outlook I think you see in France. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't see it. I don't know what you think. I think it's a very different kind of way. The passion, the effort they can put in, but they can be very detailed. I think the biggest thing for me is how much the team has become a family. And I think you see the ups and downs. There's been a lot of downs, and I think that's the important thing to say. It's not been straightforward, this run, the introduction going back into WEC and the success that we had with the 908. The 9X8 has been hard. It's been hard work at the beginning. It's taken more effort than probably people believed when they signed up to doing it. And I think we saw a sense of relief what it could be by one of the cars achieved the podium last year in Monza, and I think I saw a lot of emotion that I've never saw in a team, and I saw something that you can build a journey.
I think especially with French teams, the mechanics are great. Mm-hmm. Like the kind of relationship that they have and motivation they have is kind of quite special. They're very good friends between themselves, and you can really feel that as well within the team.
They're all
super happy to welcome us at the beginning. I felt home.
Marketing people behind.
Yeah. So you felt home very quickly in the Peugeot family with the mechanics and everyone. You always hear that about the French arrogance. I haven't really felt it in the team. Just Jeff's.
You are the one talking about arrogance.
It's the protection for being the good driver, being able to perform. So it's
okay. They're happy if I perform well. It's for them as well, you know.
So it's been a great journey so far. It's great to see, you know, being a part of the French team in Le Mans is obviously very special. I was amazed to see last year during the parade, all the French fans, it felt like they were all cheering for us because we were the biggest French team there. We have the history of 3 Le Mans wins. So everyone is there cheering for Peugeot in Le Mans. And I think, yeah, it is going to be the same this year. So I'm super excited to go back.
Yeah, and I think what you both touched on, this arrogance that is sometimes part of the reputation of maybe a French way of working. I experienced it a bit differently coming to Peugeot. I think for you it was the protection mode. For me it was some sort of...
I was not speaking for myself, I was speaking for athletes in general.
No, I know. But part of what describes arrogance for you was protection. And what I've experienced within the team was that maybe you could define it as an extra level of pride as well.
Okay.
Which I found quite positive to experience it that way, because many people were very, very prouder than I've experienced in other teams or manufacturers, to be working for that team and to represent those colors and to go out there and do their best for this team and this brand.
Your team was created for this championship. How do you succeed to create like cohesion, communication? Because I can imagine that for your sport, you have to be very focused, very straight when you want to share some information. So how do you build this cohesion and this communication?
I think first of all, between us drivers, friendship is super important. And we always spend great time outside the track together, even with the other cars, so 6 guys. And now we have different lineups this year, and I think nobody really had a wish of who they want to ride with, because we all like spending time with each other.
I don't like that.
So we go for dinners and bars and stuff like that to try to know each other. No, but it's gonna be new, so it's part of the success also. The way we're gonna build that relation. I think it's not that you have to be the best friends and go on holiday together, but I think it's important to have a really good relationship. We're gonna spend a lot of time together. You go through difficult times and good times. Of course, having good times helps a lot to build good relationships. That's for sure.
Do you know it's been a long time that you know each other?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you know, can you like share some things that
Maybe lose a European Championship in when we were 18.
Counter wasn't great. T-boned him in Barcelona.
you lost it?
So I tried to overtake the car that was actually in between us. And it was one of my first big races, rookie, not really on top of what I was doing. And then I braked a bit too late and I T-boned him.
When was it?
2008. No, 2009. 2009.
Beginning of 2009.
So what was your first impression of Nico?
A great one.
I actually forgot it was him that T-boned me. He told me like last year, I think.
We met Formula 3
Almost
20 years ago.
Well, there was that one night in Japan 2 years ago. No,
that was nice. Yeah.
It's nothing that's going to make the office.
But yeah, so yeah, we met 20 years ago. For me, it was only one target, trying to beat him.
Really?
Yeah, because he was always been part of the best ones, and I mean, when you are that process, the first categories. I mean, you have to win if you want to achieve the goal, which is to be a Formula 1 driver. So you want to beat everyone. So he was never my teammate. He was in another team, but with Manor, I think.
Pro.
The time, yeah. But yeah, so it's 20 years ago already. And then Stoff, which year did you do the campus?
2010.
2010, so that's... Yeah, so I mean, for me, he was a kid. No, but really, it's like a little bit. It's different generation, so we didn't really race together. But Paul and I, yeah. So it's 20 years ago, and then so Formula 3 and also a bit in DTM. So I went to Japan. He went to F1, so I was watching him on TV.
Okay.
Really jealous not to be on the same grid as him. But yeah, that's you know, it's also, you know, we are in a world that, you know, what goes around comes around, you know, and basically, you know, if you don't do Formula One, then there is that World Endurance Championship or something, you know. But at the end, yeah, you always meet people that you know since years.
Let's talk about the World Endurance Championship. Can you describe the championship to someone who doesn't know about it, and how is it a different challenge from other races?
Yeah, I think the word endurance and World Endurance Championship, it says all that it's all about long distance. It's not about just pure performance, as it is in other categories to be able to win. You need to work as a team. There's so many members in the team. Pit stops need to be perfect for 24 hours, which is the case at Le Mans. You need different type of drivers to learn from each other and strengthening the crew. You see the best lineups that have won Le Mans, it always consists of some younger drivers on the way up because they come with new energy to the team, but there's also the experienced one that can teach the others how to protect the car, how to work with the team, the setup, because there's so much other aspects than just trying to be fast on track.
Yeah, I mean, and in endurance as well, as you're three drivers to share the car, and sometimes what I would like to have as a setup to be really fast may not be the right things for my two other teammates. So you may have to make a compromise in the setup. You know, you're not going to be as comfortable or as fast, but if it works better for the two other drivers, then it's what needs to be done. So endurance, you kind of put your ego on the side and really think about your team first. And yeah, it's the only category I think in motorsport that is like that.
Just for you to understand is that Le Mans race is like a final of World Cup for us.
It's the ultimate test as well.
It's happening once a year. The full team is working for that. So if you don't achieve it, you have to wait 1 year to get the opportunity again. So it's a big challenge for a lot of people. What you have to understand also, if you compare to Formula One, 24 hours race, it's almost like a full championship in terms of kilometers distance that a Formula One is going to do. So in one race, we're going to do like, I don't know, something like 20 races in F1, you know. So to achieve that, you know, for the car,
Roughly like 6,000 kilometers, I think, isn't it, the winner?
Yeah, yeah. So for the car, it's a proper challenge. But what I love about it, the feeling is that it empties you completely. I mean, it takes everything, you know, to be ready night and day, spot on, flat out, because it used to be an endurance race where you had to take care of the car, the brakes, the engine. Now the winner, it's like doing a sprint of 24 hours, because anyway, the guy who's going to win, I mean the car that's going to win, is going to do a sprint. So you have to be spot on, flat out, from the green light to the checkered flag. So that's something, it's really intense. For the car, for the mechanics, everybody is empty. Everybody is crying at the end of the race, you know, because it takes so much of emotions, you know. And that's really, for me, something really special about Le Mans, about this race, because, you know, either for the car or for the humans, it's exhausting. It takes everything out of you, and this is what I love about it.
You know, shared success, I tend to say, is nearly more enjoyable than individual one, and that's why I think we love endurance racing. I think that's why fans have a special passion for that sport, because they see that there's so many factors influencing whether you're successful or not, that it has a fascination.
And how do you prepare for this kind of race? Because you can drive during 6 hours, 10 hours, 24 hours, so it's very long. I mean, I have stupid question, but it's not that stupid. How do you prepare? Like, do you drink less before race? Do you eat less? Do you sleep more? How do you prepare your body to start to stay longer in the car?
Well, I think it's a long-term preparation that starts, you know, already many years ago with all the work that you do in the preparation on the physical side. You obviously tend to do more endurance work. So like longer runs or longer cycling session or hiking the mountain for like a few hours. Really getting your heart and your body used to walk for a long time. And then during the week, you're trying to preserve your energy as much as possible, because although it's a race that lasts 24 hours, it's actually more than a full week of work. So we're already there 10 days before for the private testing, and then you got a lot of media activities. Then you got another testing during the week, and then you got the qualifying at night, and then you got the driver's parade that lasts 4 hours, and it's very energy sucking to be with all the people for the whole week, and with the pressure mounting up. You already arrive on Friday night before the race, you're already dead. And then you wake up, it's okay now, it's the big work to do. So it's a lot of work of how to manage your energy during that week. Obviously you want to try to have a very good sleep on Friday, because that's the last good one you have for the next 36 hours. And then during the race, it's quite simple. I think you drive, you exit the car, you debrief, you go eat, little massage, little shower, you go sleep for an hour and a half. Then you
During
go back
the
to
race?
garage. Yeah, during the race.
Okay.
So even though you can't, some drivers don't even sleep, some drivers, they have no problem to sleeping, but with the pressure being so high and the tension and the whole thing, it's very hard to find sleep, even though you're very tired. So you kind of just relax, and if you're able to sleep, you sleep. But you don't sleep a lot during that race.
Okay.
Then you go back out again to do the same.
And the difference to so many other sports is that you have a game, a match, or a performance of 2 hours, and then you have a week till your next match. We jump out of the car, and then in 4 hours you gotta get in again and get beat up, and then you get out. And it's the same 4 or 5 times during a race. So you do 5 games or 5 matches in one race of 24 hours, and you're just completely done when it's all over.
And you cannot rely on your break being, the actual break that you initially planned for, because the race is evolving constantly. You have to be flexible. Maybe suddenly your 4-hour break.
You cannot rely on your brake like breaking the cars, calipers.
This one, hopefully you can.
I hope you can.
But I mean the 4-hour break, that you usually have, because we, in a normal race, we do 2 hours and then we swap. But sometimes the race evolves and it changes, and you already have to get back in after 3, so your break gets much shorter, or suddenly somebody stays in 3 or 4 hours instead of 2, so it gets longer. And it's not like you get out of the car, you put your alarm for 2.5 hours later, and that's going to be what it is. You have to stay flexible, and that also impacts your stress level during the break, because you don't really know what's gonna be next. And it's definitely energy consuming.
One thing that surprised me, I never thought about it that way, but one time I used my sports watch to track the 2-hour stint. When you get out, it says, okay, you need to rest for 17 hours. But you do another 4 times 2 hours in the next 24 hours. So it's completely extreme what we're doing in Le Mans.
What is your goal as a race driver, but also as a person, as a human being?
I think the sporting goal is pretty clear for us. We want to win Le Mans with Peugeot. And that's the dream. I mean, it's a French team, French race, and everything that comes together, if that could happen. And as we said, the thing to be able to win as a team, as 3 drivers together, it's just emotionally different, because you have to share it with someone, rather than it's more egoistic own performance with your team. So that would be the sporting dream for me.
Well, you want to win Le Mans. I think that is the main goal, the main objective. When I signed up to this team, and that's what they told me, that's what they want to do. So
ask the question to any racing driver, the goal is to win. So in general, when you do all the hard work with your team, with yourself, that you do everything correct on the race weekend, you generally never leave with no points, So and when you leave with no regrets a race weekend, it means that you've done a good one.
I mean, winning Le Mans, for sure. I mean, I've had the chance to win it. So I'd love to win it again, and to pose, for a few seconds, and to have that feeling. That's stop. That's targets, and it's a great challenge.
It's super difficult to overcome the challenge, but when you can make it happen, you go on that podium and there is like 200 and something thousand people.
And you are Robbie Williams.
And you are Robbie Williams. Jackpot.
I agree. That's the big race. We're currently in a golden era of the sport as well. You know, the top class in Le Mans is in a big hype at the moment. There's a lot of competition. So a win during this era, I think, especially for us being, you know, living this era now, would mean even more than it might if there's less competition, because if you beat the strongest one out there, it means even more to you. So that's the big goal, and hopefully rather sooner than later.
The target in this championship for everyone is exactly the same, and it's winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans, because it's probably the biggest race in the world, or one of the biggest at least in the world. It's what the drivers, it's that one race that every driver wants to win, and it's what every manufacturer wants to win. That's ultimately why they're there. I know it consists of a lot more races over the season, over the year, but ultimately that's kind of the main target for everyone, is to win that one race.
Thank you for your time and for answering the question. I hope you will have a successful year with Peugeot. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was an endurance.
What do you say?
I want the journey 4 hours.
What time is it?
It's only
4 p.m., 2 hours.
it's only two stints. It's two stints. C'est deux fois dans la voiture.
So I really felt the 2 hours, huh?
What did you say? You felt the 2 hours? No, come on.
Good one.